Hey students, this is Dr. Quinn. I'm going to do a quick overview of writing assignment 4. There's 2 different documents, and note if you're in my summer section, here are your due dates. The due date for the draft is, I can't add double due dates right here, unfortunately. So I have the draft due dates because it's required and it's part of the grading. That's going to be due at the end of this week, and then at the end of next week will be the final. You can see those dates also set up on the syllabus. I'm now going to go into these, the situation and the, oh, page not found. Let's double check what's going on with that. Hang on. Let's just open it there. Here we go. Okay. So what we've got here is the situation and then the assignment overview. So situation and assignment overview for writing assignment 4. Everybody has the same situation. However, the way you focus on it can be based upon your discipline, your degree, and what your degree allows you to specialize in and how you can add that value to the business. So this is going to be an overly involved situation with a lot of information and background, but this is what you would gather if you were actually working at Workinsuds as this assistant manager. Okay, so the situation and your role in it, you will review it. This is a brand new business that is combining a cafe and a laundromat. And so your job is to look at the lay of the land, to evaluate the information that's going on here, and to make recommendations to your boss for fixes, because there are some problems. You even get a background or a history of the business so you know a little bit more about your boss's expertise and where their skill set ends. For example, if you're a cybersecurity student and you want to focus on cybersecurity issues, you're going to see that information between Mark and Jack and what they knew when they developed the business. Okay, so you've got that information down here. You've got where the business is located, and you've got just some general information that will help you understand the tone and the approach for the business itself. So that's this background. You even got a graphic that's labeled to show you what the laundromat side, the workspace, and the cafe part on the other side with the coffee bar. Issues you've noticed. Please note, you are not meant to address all of these issues. Address maybe 2 or 3 total, and you'll do a deep dive into those issues in your report. But it's broad enough that students with all different kinds of majors and interests can still personalize this report when they write the report to the supervisor. And you'll notice that even the problems are broken down even more into cybersecurity, into business, and so forth. Okay, if your major isn't here, but you want to brainstorm and work with me on how to approach this, we certainly can. Remember that your boss has no formal training in cybersecurity or business management, so you're going to have to define terms and do certain things for them. So this is just the overview document to let you understand what you would have learned if you were physically on site at this business. Now here's the assignment overview itself. The report is to Mark. It's going to have a bunch of different pieces. The length is 1,500 to 2,200 words from introduction or from memo to conclusion. These word counts don't include your references. Please note that you're going to want to follow this very closely, and you're going to want to set up the assignment as the overview here requires you to. You don't want to go over this length either. If you submit a 3,000 word document, it's overkill and your boss may not read it all. Okay. In this announcement where this video is found, you can also see links to executive summaries because you'll include one. So a little bit more of that background. Some of this is repeated from the prior highlighted document. And some of the issues to consider are the following. The overview says 2 to 4. I don't think you should go over 3. I've seen students list 5, 6, 7, and then they don't write about anything in any sort of depth. And the paper suffers from it, or the document suffers from it. The only thing you have to format in AP style is an in-text citation and a reference. The way that you lay out the document is up to you, but think of those PARC principles as you put it together. You will include at least 2 graphics. You will incorporate at least 6 references, and you can have more. They must be spread out between the problem and solution section. Okay? You don't want to have all of your sources in the executive summary. You want them to be in the problem and solution section. Make sure you think about who your audience is. That's why you got that overview assignment. You want to make sure by the time you submit your final version that you've proofread it for flow, that you're thinking about PARC principles and you're organizing and chunking your information. You're using signal phrases and signposts like headers. Okay. That when you incorporate images, for example, please don't use AI for this. I've seen a lot of students use AI to create an image of a laundromat, but it's not really accurate to what we're doing here. I'd rather a small 3x3 table or a flow chart of before and after processes. That's so much more specific. I'd prefer graphics that you create, but if you borrow them, they need to be explicit and specific to the situation. On page 6 of this overview shows you how to lay out the assignment. You start with a memo, which should be on its own page, and then an executive summary on its own page, and then the heart of the essay, the problems and solutions. And I want you to use these specific headers. This is not where you're creative. This is where you're explicit and specific enough that I can make sure I give you the most value so I know where to find everything. A conclusion and then a references section. Reminder, you're trying to persuade Mark to make changes to the business in some fashion. Make sure your sources are locatable by having an in-text citation and then an accompanying reference. So we can go over this in much more detail, but note, the highest grade you can get on this assignment, if you only post that first draft, is 85%. And my job is to, within that week between draft and final, within the first couple of days, is to get you feedback quickly so you can apply that feedback and you can really use it. But if you only submit that draft, then you'll only get that up to 85%, because there is a line in the assignment overview for that. And you can take a look at the rubric as well, and you can see that. Let's actually go into that and look at that. The student view has a longer view of the rubric, but if I click on the rubric, you can see the categories. Did you reach the appropriate length? Did you have the right amount of graphics? Use the rubric as a checklist. Make sure you've got every part of it. The number and relevance. If you're only going to Google and you're not going to library databases, you're not going to score real high on these sections. And does the data exist? Is it not hallucinating? Is it real? Are you going to scholarly or trade journal sources? Going to a magazine is not a journal. You want to go into the library databases like we've practiced. Let's just go to the library and let me show you what I'm talking about really quickly here. Inside the library itself, when you do your searches, toggle to scholarly articles only, okay? So within that, did you include an executive summary? Did you have a memo? Did you practice the memo based on our discussions? And so on and so forth. So go through this, double check your work. You'll have plenty of time to work on a draft, get feedback. This assignment's worth a lot of points. It's almost 30% of the course. So if you have questions, work with me this week and next, and I'm excited to see how you envision this assignment and you put it together.